What's up, friends? I should be live now. It should be picture here and good to go. Remo is in the chat. What's up, Remo? Anybody wants to talk about Marner? Anybody wants to talk about the Habs? You are welcome to join the chat. Just got the new webcam. Just got a new mic. Hopefully it sounds okay, and hopefully my stream is working good. So let me know when I get some viewers. Hey, can you see me, David? I just set this up. I'm just figuring this stuff out. Not the best with technology, guys. My first live stream to talk to subscribers. This is going to be a regular thing if I can figure this out. Hey, Ramo. Hey, David. Just set up a new thing with live streams. Everybody excited for a preseason? Monday, preseason hockey against the New Jersey Devils. You see me and hear me. Does it sound good? On my end, it all looks good. Just setting it up, guys. I'm going to have a new backdrop and everything. I'm hoping to have a hockey backdrop. Better cam. Over and out, David. Over and out. Glad the Marner signing is done. Me personally, as a Habs fan, I'm not glad the Marner signing is done because Toronto does look like a legitimate contender. Like they do. Their back end is sick. They got Barry. They got Riley. Two, in my opinion, top line defensemen right there. They got good young defensemen like Dermott. They got Ceci. Now they got Marner, Matthews. It's crazy. Toronto's stacked. Toronto is without a doubt a contender. And the one thing I don't want to see, I've already seen Boston Bruins win a Stanley Cup. In my lifetime, I've never seen the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. And if I can keep it that way until the day I'm put into a box, I would not complain about it. So any more questions, guys, about the Habs, any Habs chat you want to have, let me know. I know I don't got hockey gear on right now. This is just pretty much a test run, my first ever live stream. Hoping to have a new backdrop. Hoping to have some new hockey gear in the background. I'm going to set it up in the room. Oh, I hear you, David. I hear you. I only cheer for the Habs, as you can tell. But I do like Vancouver. Vancouver is my favorite team in the West. So I do cheer for other teams, but I'm big in on the Habs. I don't follow other teams as much as I follow the Habs. I know a lot about their players, about their statistics. I'll watch them on SportsCenter, but do I sit down and watch a Winnipeg Jets game or something like that every night? No. Montreal. Go right ahead, David. Watch your favorite teams. Mine are Vancouver. Mine's first Montreal, Vancouver, and I really like Washington too. If I had to pick three favorites. Hopefully we'll see Talking Habs with Rick in here, or my good buddy Matt from the Simbin. He should hopefully get a few tips on him on how to get Streamlabs working, because I'm doing this through Streamlabs. And it's really good because it got the live chat is telling me who subscribed. If my screen's a bit big, guys, it's because I had to put it over the backdrop. Like you said, Remu, you sound like a big Habs fan from the comments you made earlier. I believe you on that one for sure. Diehard Habs fan myself. I've always been a diehard Habs fan. The camera's kind of weird on this though, because I got to look in order to look directly at you guys, I got to look into the camera, like look. It's weird. I'm going to try and set up the camera so I can get it off to the side so I'm looking at it and looking at the chat at the same time. David likes the Canadians, Vegas, Golden Knights, St. Louis Blues, Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton is another team I forgot to mention. I like Edmonton a lot too, especially now. I know they're not a playoff team, but I love Connor McDavid. There's no doubt he's the best player in the league. If he was on Tampa Bay, imagine the points that guy would have. Detroit Red Wings are David's favorite teams. Good teams for sure. We got 2 original 6 teams in there. One of my favorite teams in the West. Not a big fan of the Vegas Golden Knights or St. Louis Blues. But hey, whatever you're into, I'm not. Everybody has their own taste. But for me, it's diehard Habs. I really like Washington because I'm a big Ovechkin fan. And Vancouver. I've always been a fan of Vancouver. I don't know what it is. Ever since I was a kid, I liked Vancouver. When I was a kid, it was down to Montreal and Vancouver as the teams I was going to love. And my dad was a diehard Habs fan. My pop was a diehard Bruins fan. So I almost cheered for Montreal to rub it in my pop's face. It's great. Yeah, McDavid is top notch. A lot of people in fantasy are saying they're going to pick him. If they get the first pick, they're going to pick McDavid. But in my fantasy hockey pools, I'm not picking McDavid first because he's coming off the injury. He might not even start the season, and he might be a bit sluggish to start the season. And that a poor start in the first 10 games in fantasy hockey and hockey pools can kill you. It's the worst. But yeah, I'm hoping to make these live streams a regular thing. The more subscribers I get, the better. The more people I'll have in here. Marner signing for what he did was kind of crazy though, because they were reporting that Marner wanted in June that they offered him $11 million times 7 years, but he took a contract today for $10.8 million for 6 years. So why wouldn't he take the longer term with more money in June? Maybe he didn't want to take the extra 2 years. Oh, I'm ready for the season. What's up, my buddy Josh Hunt is in here. Yeah, I'm ready for the season, man. I'm just doing a test run on my live stream. I'm going to try and add a background to all this, get a hockey background, get some hockey gear in the background. I just set up Streamlabs, got a new webcam, new mic. Figured I'd test it out, get a few subscribers in here, answer a few questions, talk about the Habs. It is called Let's Talk Habs after all, and I'm pumped about the season. New Jersey Monday, guys, preseason game. We're going to get to see some Nick Suzuki. We're going to get to see some Ryan Poehling. Even the players that don't make the team, you might as well cherish the time you get to see him play in the preseason. Guys like Jake Evans, we might not even see in Montreal this year, but we're going to get to see him play in the preseason. Hope everything's well, Josh, buddy. Hope you're taking care of yourself, man. Yes, man, people love live streams. Could make a few bucks off it. Yeah, a lot of people do it for the money and stuff like that. I got a pretty decent job as it is. I don't do it for the money. As you know me personally, that I just love talking about hockey. Hockey and UFC, I can go all day. And the hockey channel, once it builds a bit, maybe I'll get it. Maybe I'll make a few bucks. I've had a few subscribers offer to send me things and stuff like that, but I've never tried to make any money off it. Not yet, at least. If I get a couple thousand subscribers, hell, set up a Patreon and link it to my page and something like that. There's nothing wrong making a few extra bucks on the side. I know some dudes do live streams, and I'm watching the comments. They get the highlighted comments. $2 or $3 a comment. They'll get 30, 40 of them in one live stream. So you do the math, they're making like $100 a live stream. Word, man, yeah, you got family and shit too. Oh, it's really hard for me to find time. It's really hard for me to find time for stuff like this. My God, I told my girlfriend tonight I was doing a live stream. Thankfully, she was working because I should call her the wife because we're engaged. We're getting married soon enough. She wants me to call her the wife. But my long-term girlfriend, my fiance, wanted me to doesn't want me at this. So if she was home, I don't think I'd be doing live streams, guys. But Sunday night live streams are going to be a regular thing because she works every Sunday night. I've already worked it out with her. Yeah, thanks, man. I'm loving it. I got the new webcam today. I ordered off Amazon, ordered a new mic. I'm hoping to get a better quality webcam soon, but honestly, on live streams, I'm not really so much worried about the quality of the cam. I don't really care what people looking at me. I'm just looking at the chat, and I'm talking back to people so they can hear me, right? If I'm a little bit choppy in this one, guys, I wasn't prepared for a live stream. I didn't have anything prepared. I didn't put nothing up in the background. I wasn't even planning on really going live tonight. But once I got it all set up, I was like, I had to do a test run. I had to see if it works good on YouTube. I did one earlier, and people could hear me, but they couldn't see me, and I was looking after questions, and it was when you don't got a camera, it's just so hard to do. It's like this camera. I need to get it positioned better because I had to keep looking up in order to look into it. Do I like the Tragically Hip? Fan of some of their songs. I like them personally. I know their lead singer died a couple of years ago, but he was a big hockey fan. I've seen him at a lot of hockey games. I like watching their interviews, stuff like that. I do like some of their songs. I really like the song where they had Don Cherry in the video and Trailer Park Boys in the video. Don't remember the name of the song off the top of my head, but I really do like that one. That was an awesome music video. Don Cherry's in the video. Ricky from Trailer Park Boys in the video. All about hockey. Does it get any more Canadian than that? And Canadian artists, like, it doesn't get any more Canadians than that. Chewy, go Habs go. Can't stay, but have put on a like. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate the like. Yeah, guys, don't forget to like, and if you can, if you're new to this live stream, if you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to. It's up to you. Some people have their own tastes, but if you want to subscribe, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Hoping to get up by 500 by the beginning of the season. That would be nice. I've had a significant jump in the past month, so it's been pretty good. I went from like 300 to like 410 or something I'm at now. What do I think about the Aho offer sheet stuff? That honestly drove me nuts. The second I seen that Aho offer sheet, I was like, are you crazy? Carolina's going to match that. They front-loaded it so that Carolina wouldn't match $22 million. Their owner is a billionaire. Jeff Dundon is a billionaire. Do you not think he has $22 million to give Sebastian Aho? If he's not a billionaire, he's fucking $100 millionaire for sure. He's rich. Jeff Dundon is rich. I believe that's his name. Maybe it's Tom Dundon. I think his name is Tom Dundon. Tom Dundon is rich. Did some kind of football thing recently. He lost a lot of money and invested in football, but man, that guy's rich. It's nothing for him to dish out money like that for Aho. To keep that kind of player in Carolina, he's going to draw fans in. You'll make your money back off him alone. He's such a good player. Look at Phil Kessel going to Arizona. Arizona couldn't sell tickets for the life of them. To get one legit, like, you can't really call Kessel a superstar. I suppose you can if you want to, but one legit big name in the league. Done big things. Put up 82 points in the season. Scored 30, 40 goals. And all of a sudden, Arizona's selling out games before the season even starts. It's crazy. And that's not like Arizona. Arizona, 2 years ago, people were talking about being moved to Houston or something like that. Got to run to my dogs. It's 7 here. Great to hear all his well. Thanks, Raymond, buddy. Appreciate it. Like I say, the future live streams will be a lot better. This isn't going to be a great live stream where I'm going to have all kinds of topics. If I was prepared for this, if I was planning to go live tonight, I'd had my topic set up. I would have announced it beforehand. I would have had a couple people I know as subscribers in on this already. Didn't tell anybody about it, just winged it tonight. So I appreciate you guys jumping in on the live stream and giving me a few questions, giving me something to talk about so I'm not just staring at myself. It's called The Darkest One. What's called The Darkest? Oh, the song, yeah, the Tragically Hip song, yeah. Yeah, that's what it's called. It is a really good song. They got a couple of really good, few good songs. They're really a Canadian vibe if you're into that style of music. I know lately I've been into the classic rock. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's listening to the classic rock station here in Newfoundland, K-Rock. But lately I've been on the classic rock a lot. Bob Seger, stuff like that. The corny stuff my dad grew up listening to. But yeah, I'd like to get a few more people in on this live stream. Maybe go for an hour or so. If I can get a few viewers in here, it would be nice. I should have mentioned it to subscribers beforehand for sure. It would have been nice. Did you see the prospects? They lost 4-2, 2-1. Yeah, I did see the prospects. Wasn't impressed at all. We actually did a live stream. If you haven't seen it, my friend has a channel. His name's Matt. His channel is called The Sin Bin. We live streamed the first 2 games. He shows the whole game somehow on his channel. I don't know, I guess you can show the rookie tournaments, but he has the whole game up and we're talking throughout it. And he's up in the corner and you can hear our voices. And then we do an ultimate Habs season preview on it as well. It's like a podcast. Me, him, and my buddy talking Habs with Rick. And yeah, we live streamed the whole game. We watched the tournament. None of us were impressed at all. Harvey Pinard really impressed me. Raphael Harvey Pinard, he really impressed me. Paling looked good. He was hot dogging it a bit too much. Don't know why Brooke took so much flack. He made a few bonehead plays, but he looked good to me. Overall, like he looked like one of the better defensemen. Other than that, can't really take away a lot from the rookie tournament. Nick Suzuki, I'm not going to lie, maybe I got too high of expectations for this kid. Kind of let me down. I like that one. My favorite music is vintage country and southern rock. Yeah, I hear you. My dad's into all that stuff too. My mom's really big into country music, vintage country, George Jones and Johnny Cash and all that stuff too. I got her the Johnny Cash movie for Christmas years ago when Walk the Line came out, like before she seen it, and I swear to God, it was the most pumped I ever seen her for a Christmas gift. Yeah, this time last year, people were saying after the rookie tournament, there's no way this kid makes a team. He's going to get a couple games in the preseason, be sent back to Finland. I don't think I heard anybody say Jesperi Kotkaniemi was going to make the team because my friend Josh here is saying Jesperi Kotkaniemi looked pretty bad last year. Well, I agree with you. He did look bad in the rookie tournament. Nobody gave him a chance to make the team after that for some reason. It was only one rookie game. I believe it was his first time playing on that small of an ice surface because where he comes from in the league, the ice surface is a bit bigger. So he had to get adjusted, I guess, playing in a real game. But man, when he came into the preseason, he took right off. He looked excellent. He didn't stop once. He's good the whole year, in my opinion. Bit of fatigue at the end of the season. He could have hit 15, maybe 20 goals if he had been more accurate, more confident in his shot. But man, that kid got tools. I love Kotkaniemi's game. Kotkaniemi is, without a doubt, the best young player on the team and without a doubt the future in Montreal. His skating's pretty good, but his shot, I love his shot. Do I like Southern Rock? Southern Rock, I don't really know how you would describe Southern Rock. I like rock music. I like AC/DC, like stuff like that. Southern Rock, I'm not exactly sure because I'm here in Canada, so I don't know how people would describe Southern Rock. But I do like rock music. Yes, I do like rock music. Rock and roll, classic rock, all that kind of stuff. Paling is another guy who I'd like to see soon too. Ryan Paling should be good this year in Montreal. Hoping they can figure something out to start him on the third line, but there's kind of a center. If you guys seen my video, my my when they released the roster for training camp, so many of them are centers. There's literally like 11 or 12 centers on the list. There's so much center depth, it's ridiculous. There's so many centers, half these guys aren't even going to be able to go to Laval. And they're overaged players, they're not junior-aged players, so there's going to have to be some center contracts traded. Something's going to have to happen. Yeah, I'm dying for some Habs too. I would love to have a hockey game on right now. This would be so much more interesting right now if I had a beer in my hand, a Habs hat on, a Canada jersey in the background, and I was watching Philip Deneau and Thomas Tatar and Brendan Gallagher teared up on that top line. Love that top line. But yeah, it feels like years, man. It feels like years since there's been Habs hockey, and it's only been like a couple months. But thankfully, Monday, New Jersey Devils, Montreal Canadiens throw down in the preseason. I'm actually really excited about the preseason because the preseason this year we're going to get to see some players that we're not going to get to see play in Montreal this year, but we're going to get to see how they look. We're going to get to see guys like Josh Brook. We're going to get to see guys like Nick Suzuki. We're going to get to see guys. Ron Paling should make the team, but we're going to get to see him in the preseason. I'm excited to even see guys like Otto Leskinen. Like, I'm excited for the preseason. Last year, look at guys like Xavier Ouellet. He's invited to training camp too, but look how sick he looked in the preseason. It was crazy. Feels like years. Would I get in troubles for streaming games and commenting? No, as long as I don't show the game. As long as if I'm live streaming a game and you can hear it a bit in the background, it's not a big deal. But usually when I'm live streaming a game, it's all questions and everybody talking about the game. Someone will score and I'll yell it. Sometimes I commentate it a bit like that, but usually during the live stream is when I get my most viewers. I believe the most I had last year, I only had like 40 subscribers when I did live streams last year. But I believe the most I had in on one live stream at one time was like 90 people or something like that. And it was pretty crazy. So many people were asking me questions, and I jumped so many subs that day too. That one live stream probably put me up from 40 subs to 60 subs, and that was my first month doing it. Only been doing this for 7 months now, I believe. Halfway through last season, a little bit over halfway through last season. The reason why I started doing it, the very first video I ever did was the Sperry Kotkaniemi video. Like, I've seen people talking about the Habs online, and nobody was talking about Kotkaniemi the way I saw him. So I made the Sperry Kotkaniemi video and got some really good feedback and was like, well, you know what, I can do this. I might as well make a YouTube channel talking about hockey when I get free time. Throw up a few live streams, talk a bit about hockey. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, man, if you start over this preseason, you'll have subs coming in. Anyways, man, gotta take it easy, bud. Yes, take it easy, Josh, buddy. Thanks for jumping in the live stream. I really appreciate it, guys. I like I say, I do not expect a lot of people to watch this live stream. I honestly don't. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't prepare for it. I had no topics ready, no Habs jersey on or nothing. You can see my DVDs and Blu-rays in the background. Got a pretty big collection there, guys. Look, you see that? That's a pretty big collection of Blu-rays and DVDs. As you can tell, I'm a big movie fan, big documentary fan. Love seasons of shows. Love going out and buying the actual physical copy of the seasons. Sometimes I feel like technology is going to fall apart. So I gotta have the physical copies to watch it on my DVD player if I can't get it on the internet. Don't know why, or my Blu-ray player, I should say. Leonard Skinner, 38 Special, Allman Brothers, ZZ Top, and Marshall Tucker. I'm from Ottawa Valley, David says. That's deadly. I like Leonard Skinner too, and I like ZZ Top. I don't know much about the other guys. They're a bit out of my time, I guess. I never really heard much of them, but obviously everybody knows who Leonard Skinner is, and everybody knows who ZZ Top is. You got to be a sharp-dressed man. And David's from Ottawa Valley, so shout out to David in Ottawa Valley. David Arthur, you're one of my best subscribers for sure. You comment on almost every single video. I love the more comments, the better, because the feedback is what I'm doing it for. I'm not just making videos so people can watch them and not comment. I'm making the videos so people can make awesome comments. I can debate them or I can agree with them. I love it. That's what it's all about to me. And he tuned into the live stream as well. Appreciate that. Gave you a shout out on the live stream. So shout out on this live stream as well. One of my best subscribers for sure. And one of Talking Habs with Rick's best subscribers for sure too, buddy. Appreciates it. Talking Habs with Rick gets a lot more people in on his live streams than me though, because he's been doing it for a while and he has it all set up. He was ready to go. But Talking Habs does it a bit better to me. Does it a bit different to me. He doesn't use Streamlabs. The way I can do it now, the way I'll be able to set it up is I'll be able to have a background I'm on. I'm searching for one now. I search sports. It's almost all soccer and football. And some of them you have to pay for the theme, the background. But I'm trying to find a good hockey one. I'm trying to find one with like the face-off dot in the background or a goalie net or hockey sticks or something. I'm trying to find a hockey-related theme on the one I'm doing. There's so many. There's like hundreds of them. I went through a bunch. Can't find a decent hockey one at all for the life of me. Bunch of good football ones. Yeah, you're my buddy too, David. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the views and the comments. That's what Talking Hockey is all about. And a fellow Habs fan, like you say, fan of other teams as well. I'm not going to judge you for liking St. Louis, but hey, it's okay with me. I don't know what it is about St. Louis. St. Louis is always one of those teams I just never liked. Love Vancouver. Actually, I kind of. You said you were a fan of Vegas. I kind of do like Vegas. I don't know why I don't like Vegas. I guess it's where the Max Pacioretty went to him. I was never a fan of Max Pacioretty. Even in Montreal, when he was scoring 30 goals, I was still never a fan of Max Pacioretty. I know some people may find it hard to believe because he was the only guy scoring a lot of goals in Montreal. It's just the inconsistency of the guy. The inconsistency of Patches killed me. He'd literally score like 11, 12 goals in 10 games and then go 20 games without scoring a goal. The guy was just the streakiest player in the NHL, in my opinion. But thank you to everybody who has checked out my live stream and who has left comments. I really appreciate it. I know I didn't get a lot of people in on this one. Was not expecting to at all. First ever Let's Talk Habs live stream. But the next one should be a lot better. Have my Habs gear on. Have my topics ready. Have a drink on hand because I'm getting really thirsty here. And yeah, the more questions the better too, guys. If I get a few Habs questions, that'd be awesome. I would love to be able to keep this going for an hour, but if I can't get the people in here and I can't get the questions, then it's kind of hard just talking to myself, you know. But I do appreciate you guys viewing it for sure. Excited for the preseason. And if you give me 2 seconds, I'm going to go grab a drink. Enjoy the background, guys. And I am back in action. Now, what do we got here? What questions? Did I miss any questions? Just going to scroll through the live chat right quick. See if I missed any questions. So much stuff about the Mitch Marner thing today. Oh my god. Like, almost everybody made a Marner video. I was going to make a Marner video, but I'm not a Leafs fan, and it's just played out. I don't want to do what everybody else does. Like, if it's Habs related, I'll break it right away, but I want my own thing. UFC, oh, Remo's gone. UFC in Vancouver tomorrow. Oh my god. I kind of wish he was here to talk about that right now because I'm really excited for UFC tomorrow. Justin Gaethje, I know you guys probably don't watch UFC. Justin Gaethje versus Cowboy Cerrone. What a fight. David says, I feel you fucked Mac Pacioretty. Yeah, he's just ridiculous. Biff303, what's up, buddy? If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. My first ever live stream, so forgive me for not having Habs gear on and not being as ready as I should be. It was just kind of a test run here. Scotty, who do you think will lead the Habs in goals this year? By far and away, Brendan Gallagher. If you've seen my bold predictions video, one of the boldest predictions I made in the video, I think Brendan Gallagher is going to have 40 plus goals this year. And the reason why I think he's going to have 40 goals, he's never played with lawmates he clicks like with Tatar and Danault. If Tatar and Danault can stay healthy for the full year, man, Brendan Gallagher should score, if not 40 goals, really close to it, but I'd really, really expect him to lead the team in goals. Unless Jesperi Kotkaniemi has one hell of a breakout year, or Jonathan Drouin and Max Domi starts lighting up. Domi could surpass Galley in goals, but Galley's more of a pure goal scorer than Domi. And what's up, Rick Roller, one of my other best subscribers, the Rick Rollers in here. Appreciate you tuning into the stream, man. It's my very first stream. Didn't have no topics ready. My background wasn't set up. I never did a lot with Streamlabs yet. I really just wanted to test it and make sure it worked. Like I did it earlier. I did a test run earlier and there was no picture, so I had to redo it again. And I figured if I could get a few Habs questions in here, why not go for an hour? And back to David Arthur's topic. Fuck Max Pacioretty. He was the captain of the Montreal Canadiens, but I didn't like Patches as a captain. You're supposed to show up game in and game out every single night. Patches was the streakiest player on the Montreal Canadiens, and when he wasn't playing well, it showed so much. Like, I know he wore his heart on his sleeve. He was an emotional player. That was the way Patches was. But when you're not playing well and you're the captain of the team, man, you can't be pouting around the ice. You can't be sulking, and you can't just not give your all because you're struggling. You're hurting the team by not giving your all. What is my favorite beer? Molson Canadian, and it's not because Jeff Molson is the owner of the Montreal Canadiens. Molson has always been my favorite beer, Molson Canadian. If I'm at a bar, I'm ordering a Molson Canadian. And if I can't get a Molson Canadian, my other go-to would be Coors Light. That's what I'm talking about. He was a baby too. I'm assuming you're talking about Pacioretty. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If he wasn't playing well, he was sooky. He's not. He didn't make it all about him in the media. He didn't make stupid comments in the media. But you could just tell by his attitude. If your team is struggling and you're the captain, you need to be positive. You need to say, "We'll get better. There's things happening. We have the tool." Even if you're not being realistic, you cannot send the message that it's down and out. It's struggle time. Because when Patches struggled, I can't even describe it. He literally looked like a kid that got his lollipop taken away from him. He looked like he was about to cry some games. Jonathan Drouin is kind of reminding me of it right now. Although Jonathan Drouin can't do what Patches did. Jonathan Drouin can't have 10 games where he breaks out, scores 11 and 12 goals, and everybody forgives him for it. He doesn't have that ability right now. And he isn't the captain of the team. But Drouin does remind me of one of those type of players that just, he lets his poor performances really get to him, and it really shows. Rick Roller, do you think the Habs will make more trades before the season begins? They almost have to. Rick Roller, the Rick Roller one of my best subscribers. He's been with me since the beginning, since I only had like 10 subscribers. But yeah, dude, they kind of have to. Like, you look at my training camp roster video, there's like 11 or 12 centers listed, and they're all overaged players. All these kids aren't going to be able to play in Montreal and Laval. One of them's on a tryout, two of them are on a tryout, I believe. But somebody has to be traded. So it's almost a given that somebody has to go out. Whether it's for something big or not, or whether it's for picks, that only time will tell. But I have a feeling we could see a guy like Charles Hudon or like a younger player like Jake Evans get packaged into a deal. Because let's admit it, Jake Evans has been in AHL for 4 years now. He's performed well in the AHL. He performed well last year on a poor Laval Rockets team. Hasn't cracked the Montreal Canadiens roster yet. If he doesn't crack it this year, it's almost a given the guy's getting traded. Like, there's too much. It's crazy saying this because there's no way we could have said this last year, but it's too much center depth. It's insane how much center depth the Montreal Canadiens have. They got the Noah at number one. I'm assuming eventually it'll be KK or Domi at number one. But they got the Noah at number one. They got Domi locked up at number two. They got KK, 100% KK is the third line center. And where is Paling going to play? So I got a feeling KK is going to slot up to second line, Domi on the wing, Paling on the third line, and somebody like Nick Cousins or Nate Thompson on the fourth line. And after that, all these other young players, whichever ones don't go to Laval or don't go to some other team somewhere else, like in Finland or something like that, I do not see how some of these players do not get traded. David Arthur, I think the Montreal Canadiens should offer sheet Kyle Connor. I 100% agree with you, depending on what the offer is. I love Kyle Connor. He's had, I believe, 3 30-goal seasons now, 2 or 3. He's definitely had 2 for sure. I believe he's had 3. He's 60. He's potentially 70 potentially 75-point player. He's he kind of do what Domi does, not the same way Domi does it, not the same style of player, but as far as point production, kind of similar to Domi in point production, or at least what Domi was last year. I'd like to see him get offer sheeted. He definitely helped the Habs top 6, and he would definitely help the power play. He's somebody who could, without a doubt, help the power play. But all depends on what the offer is. For me, a player like Connor, he's probably worth $7 million. If you really wanted to overpay him, $8 million, because a lot of players are getting overpaid right now. A lot of people are acting like Mitch Marner took a discount because he took $10.8 million on 6 years. I do not see that as a discount for Mitch Marner. The guy only had one 70-plus point season, and last year he was playing with Tavares, which really inflated his stats. If Tavares goes down or somebody like that on his line, and he's not a center, how are they giving that kid $10.8 million? I know they're all in. They almost had no choice, but damn, he really fucking got the Leafs good on that one, because I would not be happy if that was the Habs. If I was the Leafs fans, I'd be disgusted with these players. Like, Matthews is the only one that didn't hold the team up on a contract out of their big three, or out of the Nylander, Marner, and Matthews, out of their big three really young players, because Marner held them up all summer. Nylander held them up halfway through last year. Like, it's not a good look if you're a fan of that team. Who is my all-time favorite goaltender, David? Look at my profile picture on my YouTube. Look at the profile picture on my channel. Go back and look at my Carey Price videos. Carey Price is my all-time favorite goalie. He's my all-time favorite NHL player. And it's not just because he's a really good goaltender. It's not just because he was the best Habs goaltender of my era. It's because of the person he is. I love Carey Price's personality. That time when he took that selfie with the kid, the thing this year where he gave the kid the goalie stick and was like crying with him on it. The kid was crying on his shoulder, and then he brought him out at the NHL awards. Carey Price is he's just a great human. How can you not like Carey Price? I know people who absolutely hate the Habs. Die-hard Leafs fans, die-hard Bruins fans got no time for the Habs at all, but they have respect for Carey Price. Whenever they're talking to me about the Habs, they're like, oh, the Habs suck, the Habs sucks. They got Price, though. I love Price. Price is great. Like, that guy's one of the most respected players out there. Appreciate the questions, guys. The more questions, the better, because the more questions I get, the longer I can keep this going. Like I say, I'm not going to get a lot of viewers in here. I only have 4 or 5 people in the chat right now, but I do appreciate you guys checking out my live stream. This will be a weekly thing. I'm hoping to make it every Sunday. I'm going to do a Let's Talk Habs. And during the season, every Sunday, I'll talk about all the games, review all the games, talk about potential trades, players getting injured, how the Montreal Canadiens are playing, and hopefully they're playing well, so we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Rick Roller says, Carey Price is great, top athlete, and a humble and kind person. Exactly, Rick. That's my point exactly. Sean Wolfen, let them hate. Everyone will love having Price on their team. Exactly, Sean Wolfen. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel if you can. First ever live stream, guys, so forgive the background. Don't have anything set up yet. I just did it as kind of a test run to see if I can get some questions in here, and I do appreciate the questions. But yes, Sean, I would 100% agree. If you looked when Carey Price was struggling in 2 seasons ago, when he had a really bad season, the season before the same season Galchenyuk got traded at the end of it, 2017, 2018, I believe. Man, every Habs page, every time Price had a bad game, trade Carey Price, his contract, even though his contract wasn't even kicked in at the time, he's already performed well. He had a first good year on his contract. Everybody was saying, trade Carey Price, he's garbage. Not everybody, obviously there was diehard Price fans like myself, but the majority of Habs fans were saying, trade Carey Price, fire MB. The fire MB thing I totally get, but man, Carey Price had nothing in front of him. He had Carl Alsner in front of him. And then he comes out this year and plays like he did. It's just ridiculous to hate that guy got. Like, he is the reason why some of these very, very mediocre Habs squads have had playoff success at all. He completely dragged them by the skin of their teeth in the Eastern Conference Finals a few years ago. And look what Chris Carter did to him. But yeah, that's a good point. I really appreciate that point because it gives me something good to talk about. Because I'm a big Carey Price fan. And that stuff bothers me out of everything more in Montreal. If everybody asks me what's my worst Habs memory, what's the worst thing that happened since I've been a Habs fan, when Chris Kreider took out Carey Price like that, man, and they announced he was out for the rest of the playoffs, and Dustin Tokarski got put in net. As a Habs fan, that broke my heart because Dustin Tokarski going head-to-head against Henrik Lundqvist, a kid who's barely played in the NHL games, being thrown into Eastern Conference Finals in a big pressure series where your team's already down 1 game. I knew they were done. It was admirable for him to get him to 6 games, but man, oh man, that was brutal as a Habs fan. Rick said, and David says, I love Carey Price too. Yeah, how can you not, man? Rick says, we saw the Bobrovsky contract that Price gets about the ranking. Yeah, your Bobrovsky and Price are pretty much on the same plane. And both of them deserve the contracts, in my opinion. Bobrovsky, I believe, is a little bit younger. He does have 2 Vezinas, but Carey Price has way better playoff success. Bobrovsky's only won 1 round his whole while in Columbus, and he's had really good defense in front of him. Biff303 says, I think if Drouin doesn't do better this year, he'll be traded by the deadline. What's your thoughts? I 100% agree with you, Biff. I did a Drouin expectations video. I said I expect him to be a lot better this year. But if somehow the work ethic stays the way it is, he keeps being inconsistent like he is, having these drop-offs where he's going 19 games without a point and stuff, there's no way you can have a player like that in your top 6 who's just holding your team back and just costing you a pile of cap. Trade him while he has the value if he does underperform this year. But I'm really hoping this offseason he laced up his skates and he put in the work and he comes back with better work ethic and it's just better. Rick says, I think Sherratt will be a great addition because now we'll have a tough defense protecting Price on all pairs. Exactly. Love Jeff Petrie, but you look at when Shea Weber went down and Jeff Petrie was forced to be the number 1 on the top line. I hate to say it, but the defense in front of Price was just wasn't there. It was terrible. Excuse me, guys. I got to get a drink. I'm really, really getting thirsty here. My mouth's getting a bit dry. My bad. Sean Wolfen says, I think Brody will I wish Brody with a Habs jersey could play with Weber. One thing about TJ Brody is, the hockey guy made a good point, he's one of the most consistent defensemen in the league. Year in and year out, you know what you're going to get from TJ Brody. Very rarely has he had a drop-off since he's been in the NHL. I know in the playoffs, people gave him a lot of flack this year for Calgary. If you watch Calgary's playoffs, he did struggle in the playoffs, but man, Brody's a damn good player and will be excellent with Shea Weber. I like Victor Mete, but the thing with Mete is he hasn't scored a goal yet, and the offense just isn't there. 15 points in 82 games as a number one defenseman, and you're playing with Shea Weber, a guy who makes people better around you. Love Victor Mete, has excellent speed, complements Shea Weber well, and I don't think he'd do well if he got moved off Weber's line and ended up playing down the lineup. But man, like, if you could get a sick defenseman like Brody on Weber's left side, my God, what a number one pairing that would be. Shea Weber, TJ Brody, would love that. Excellent suggestion, Sean. But back to Rick's thing. Sorry, I kind of got caught up in that one because I was thirsty and I had to get a drink at the time. Sherratt is going to be great in front of the net, in front of Carey Price. He brings that big physical presence. He's going to clear the crease. A lot of people, when Ben Sherratt got signed, looked at his numbers and said, how does this guy help the team? He doesn't help the power play. He's just another Jordy Ben because he had 20 points. Ben Sherratt is a superior defenseman to Jordy Ben in every way. He's defensively sound, and in front of the net is where he does his work. And he's not scared to lay the body on you. He's more physical than Jordy Ben, and he's just good at clearing that crease. He's good at clearing traffic. He's good at stopping players from taking runs at your goalie. It's the type of defenseman Carey Price needs in front of him. David After says, do I like South Park? I like South Park. Yes, I like South Park. I'm from Newfoundland, though, and I watched the episode where they were talking about Canadians. They were like talking about different groups of Canadians, and they called all Newfoundlanders sodomists. I was kind of pissed off about that episode, I'm not going to lie. But other than that, I love South Park. It's one of the best shows. How can you not love South Park? It's funny, it's hilarious, it's degrading to certain people, but at the end they always come out with like a great point. The whole episode always sums up with like a really good point. It's brilliant the way they do it. Sean Wolfen says, he's a hit machine, Sherratt. Exactly. Look at him. He's playing top line in Winnipeg. Winnipeg has one of the best defensive cores in the West. They had They had Tyler Myers, they had Dustin Byfuglien, and they had Ben Sherratt. And Ben Sherratt was top line, man. Like, that guy was top line on one of the best defensive cores in the West. There's a reason why. Am I disappointed we didn't sign Gallagher? For the money he's getting paid, I'm disappointed, but I think if he came to Montreal, because of tax issues and because it's Montreal and stuff, I think it would be more. They'd probably have to pay $5 million for him. But if Montreal got him for $4 million on a 4-year deal, I would be amazed. But apparently Marc Bergevin I would be pumped if they got him. But apparently Marc Bergevin did inquire about Jake Gardiner. I believe they did give him an offer, but it was only 3 years, and he shot it down because he took the 4-year deal in Carolina instead. Biff303 says, I think Mete is a number 2 defense line, not a number 1. I think that's our weakness. Your thoughts? Defensively, Mete is really sound. He's really fast. He complements Weber well. But man, he's just not doing it offensively. He has a good shot. He's creative. He knows how to find a player open on the ice. But I don't know if it's bad puck luck or just bad shooting accuracy. Watching Carey Price crack up on him on the bench when he missed that wide open net for his first goal, and he could have had his first goal wide open cage, completely missed it. Like, you swear to God he didn't even see the net. He shot it off the other side, and watching Carey Price crack up with his glove over his face, that was TV gold right there. And I did feel extremely bad for Victor Mete, guys. And another time, he officially scored his first NHL goal, and it was a decent goal. Andrew Schaub just barely interfered with the goalie in front. Just barely. He came across the front of the net, and his stick, I believe, touched the goalie's stick as Mete was shooting. As the puck was going to the net, Shaw had some kind of contact with the goalie. I didn't think it was goalie interference myself, but it was called goalie interference. And Victor Mete, after celebrating his first goal, it wasn't immediately waved off. It was a coach's challenge, I believe. After celebrating his first goal, all the Habs on the bench smacking his sticks off the side of the bench. You see Weber grabbing Raul, super pumped. It gets waved. It gets challenged, waved off because it's goaltender interference. So that kid can't catch a break. As far as our weakness, I don't see him as a weakness defensively. He does complement Weber well, but I would love to see somebody better offensively in there. Like even a Jake Gardiner. Jake Gardner's putting up 20 points on the power play. Get it, win healthy for a full 82 games. He's going to put up 45 to 50 points. Excellent skater. Like he's basically Victor Mete with more experience, and not as actually. He's not basically Victor Mete. He's like Victor Mete in certain ways, but man, Gardner isn't as solid defensively as Mete. I know that may be a bold statement. Mete's young, hasn't been in the league long. Love his defense, though. I do love his defense. He's very, very solid defensively. Apparently, Honka wants to be traded. Do not trade him to Montreal. He hasn't worked out in Minnesota. Doesn't have the best attitude from what I've heard. Not a guy I'd like to see come to Montreal myself personally. Justin Falk from Carolina. Apparently they're trying to trade him to Anaheim, but Anaheim's on his no-trade list. And as far as I know, if you had to ask me if I had to bet on it, he's going to shoot down that trade. He's not going to want to get traded to Anaheim. I'd love to see the Habs come along and go after, snoop up Falk, make a trade for Falk. They probably have to pay a bit, but Justin Falk's one of the best defenders in the league, guys. You get him on your team, you're laughing. Biff303 says, Honka is shit. He's not. He does have some ceiling, some upside. On a cheap contract, he'd probably be worth a shot. He's like a Puljujärvi that way. He's like one of those players. Maybe they could be better. Maybe it's just the wrong fit in Minnesota. But I just don't think that. I don't think Honka is what the Habs need. They already got enough of these guys that are considered depth players. Like Carolina won't help a rival. For the right price, they would. If it makes their team better, doesn't matter if you're a rival or not. If Carolina looks at the trade and they think it makes their team better, whether you're a rival or not, they'll trade with you. Look at what the Habs did a few years ago for the Leafs. The Leafs needed a fourth line center for their playoff run. It was just before the playoffs, or I believe at the deadline, something like that. Yeah, it was at the deadline. Obviously, it wasn't just for the playoffs. You can't trade players in. At the trade deadline, the Leafs really needed a solid fourth line center. And what did the Montreal Canadiens do? Traded Thomas Plekanec to him for two players that they ended up flipping a year later, trading Valiev and Reichel, I believe, for Brett Kulak. So Montreal helped out Toronto, but in the long run, it helped out Montreal. They got two prospects that weren't going to play in Montreal, Rinat Valiev, I believe his name was, and Kirby Reichel, and then they took those two prospects the next year at the deadline and traded them for Brett Kulak. And now we have Brett Kulak. He just re-signed this summer too, so Bergevin made a good trade there, and it also helped out Toronto at the time. I know they didn't win round one, but Plekanec played very well for them as a fourth-line center, and they wanted to re-sign him, but he re-signed to Montreal. Good point, though, Rick Brawler. They probably wouldn't help out a rival otherwise. Good point. Sean Wolfen says, what do you think about Osler this season? AHL, NHL, or Seattle going to draft him next summer? I've got a feeling that last part was sarcastic. I don't think Seattle's going to draft him anytime soon. I'm sure he'll be eligible, though. Why do I think about Osler this season? I don't think he's going to get bought out this season, because if you buy him out this season, you're still stuck with a part of his cap hit for the next few seasons. But whatever way it works, my buddy Talking Habs with Rick, can't get the words out of my mouth here tonight. Told me that if they buy him out next year, it doesn't affect the long term as much. You'd only have another cap hit on your cap for a year, and then you're good. My buddy Talking Habs with Rick knows a lot about the Osler contract, and I also did an Osler buyout video a few months ago. I just can't remember all the details I put in that video because I did a lot of research for that video, and I explained the whole Carl Osler situation if you were going to buy him out, how it would work out. But I obviously can't remember all those details off the top of my head because it was a lot. David Arthur says, Honka is actually playing in Dallas Stars. Yeah, Dallas, Minnesota. I always get them mixed up. Sorry, David, my bad. Yeah, he plays in Dallas. I always get Dallas and Minnesota mixed up. I guess it's because their logos look the same, but whenever I'm talking about Dallas and Minnesota, I've done that 100 times. Not on this channel, but I've done that so many times. I don't know. Certain teams I always do it with. I don't know why. Another two teams I always get mixed up for some reason is the New York Rangers and Tampa Bay Lightning. I guess it's because the jerseys look the same, but a lot of their players, I'll be like, and Ryan Callahan used to play for the Rangers, and he played for Tampa for a bit too. And a lot of times I'll be describing a Tampa player, and for some reason, I don't know why, I'll say the New York Rangers. I'll say he'll play for the New York Rangers. I've done stuff like that in videos, and then had to go back and remake or edit the whole video just because of one stupid statement that I made that I'll pick up on when I'm rewatching it. It drives me crazy when I do it too. Especially when you're somebody who talks fast like me. You got to keep track of your words and what you're saying. Especially on a live stream. So if I'm screwing this one up again, if I'm stuttering a few words, guys, it's because I was not prepared for this live stream. If I had to have my topics out, my background ready, and I was prepared for a Habs live stream, it would be a lot better, but hopefully you guys enjoy it. David Arthur says, Rick is a cool guy. I'm assuming you're talking about Talking Habs with Rick, and yeah, he is a really cool guy. Rick is one of my best subscribers. I've watched his channel since he started, and he's watched my channel since I started it. We both have similar ideas, and we both are passionate about the same thing, Montreal Canadiens hockey. And if you haven't seen his channel, Talking Habs with Rick, guys, check him out. Give him a subscribe. Great guy. Sean Wolfman says drafted. And David Arthur says, probably because of the Minnesota North Stars. Drafted? What? Who got drafted? Sean Wolf. We never know. Vegas drafted Emlyn. Oh, he's talking about the Vegas draft. Yeah, but Emlyn had a lot of upside at that time, too. Emlyn could railroad players, and he wasn't half as slow as what Alsner is. And he wasn't half the cap hit. Literally, wasn't half the cap hit of what Alsner is either. It's the contract with Alsner. Maybe on a $1 million contract, you'd be able to trade him. Somebody would give him a chance. But, man, the guy's so overpaid. And he's for another 3 more years left on his deal. I don't know what Bergie was doing with that contract, but he shit the bed on that contract. That's the one bad move he made. Still sticking with him. And David says, probably because of the Minnesota North Star. That's probably why. I do get Dallas and Minnesota mixed up a lot. Oh, I'm going to like this question because I see Suzuki in it. The Rick Roller, do you think Suzuki is going to make the team? Judging by what we've seen in the rookie tournament, probably not, but that's the rookie tournament. KK also looked really bad in that too. Suzuki looked decent in the preseason last year. With the skills that kid has, and the way he absolutely dominated in the OHL playoffs and played really well at the Memorial Cup too, if it translates at all to the NHL, if he can play 3/4 of good as he did in the OHL in the NHL, he'll make the team this year. And maybe not starting off. Maybe it'll give him a bit of time in Laval to play some real minutes, probably 10, 20 games. But in Laval, the kid's just so good. I got a feeling he's going to play his way into a role if he doesn't make the starting lineup this year. And I can honestly say next year I could see Nick Suzuki being top 6 for the Montreal Canadiens. This year he may be a depth player, but I could see him spending a portion of his rookie year, if not the whole rookie year, playing with the Montreal Canadiens. Great question, because anybody who follows my channel knows I'm a big fan of Nick Suzuki. I've done quite a few Nick Suzuki videos. Pretty much the whole OHL playoffs, every series I covered, because how could you not? His OHL playoffs was amazing. It was comeback, comeback, comeback. They were down 3-0 to the London Knights. They came back. Then they were down 3-0 to, I believe, 3-1 to Saginaw. They came back. Then they went to the final down 3-1, and they came back and they won the final. And Nick Suzuki had a crazy amount of points. So they needed to win 4 games to win the series in the London thing. And I believe in those 4 games he put up 10 points and 2 game-winning goals. The guy's an absolute stud when it's all on the line, when he's under pressure. So another thing with Suzuki is I would have liked to see him do better at World Juniors. He looked good at the World Junior Tournament, but Canada just didn't make it as far as people expected. Paling looked incredible. Of course, he was the MVP. Do you like the NFL? Yeah, I like the NFL. I don't follow it as much as I used to. I used to follow it a lot when Peyton Manning was in the NHL, or NHL. That's how big I am in hockey. I'm still calling the NFL the NHL. But yeah, I do like the NFL. I really like the Kansas Chiefs, and I like their new quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Don't sit down and watch a lot of games, but I watch a few Chiefs games because their quarterback's amazing. And I do watch the playoffs, of course. I watch the NHL playoffs. Just sick of seeing New England get to the final, man. It's just getting old. It's like when Detroit and Colorado were back in the 90s were such good teams. It was almost every year it was Detroit and Colorado in the final, and you knew one of them was going to win the cup in the NHL. I don't know. Unless it's my team, if it's the Habs winning like that, I'm going to be super pumped. But just knowing who's going to win every year just isn't fun. It's like baseball. It's like you almost know who's going to be in the finals every year. It's just, that's what I love about hockey. Hockey, you don't know who's going to be in the finals. Who's seen St. Louis being in the NHL finals this year? Who at the trade deadline this year or pre-Christmas, around Christmas time, said the St. Louis Blues were going to be in the NHL finals? If anybody had them picked, they're an absolute genius. I don't know what they saw. They were like 27, 28 in the Hockey Guys power rankings. Everybody was saying their GM was probably going to get fired, and that they weren't. People were saying they weren't going to make the playoffs. And St. Louis went on to win the Stanley Cup. And the funny thing about that is, teams like that can come in the next year and bomb and not even make the playoffs. Be the team that they were expected to be this year. It's crazy how hockey works, and that's why I love hockey. That's why I love the NHL. It's super competitive. Anybody can win on any night. If you play pro line, betting on hockey is the hardest thing to do. I can bet on basketball games, and it's almost a given who's going to win. They got to win. They got to cover the spread. They got to win by a certain amount. But I can almost bet on any night, on any given night, who's going to win. I can almost tell. Like if an inferior team, like say the Toronto Raptors a couple of years ago when they were really bad when they had Chris Bosh, was playing the LA Lakers when they had Kobe Bryant. You knew the Lakers were going to win. So, but in the NHL, the St. Louis Blues, defending Stanley Cup champions, could come in right now and play the Ottawa Senators in their first game of the season and lose, and it really wouldn't shock people. It wouldn't shock people. David Arthur says, I don't mind the NFL. I don't really have a team. I just watch the NFL. I hear you. I'm the same way. Like I don't really have a big team, but if I had to pick a team I do like, I hate to call myself a bandwagoner when it comes to football, but you can call me a bandwagoner, I guess. I used to like the New York Giants when they had Eli Manning. Really, really like the Colts when they had Peyton Manning. I guess it's certain players I like, and now I really, really, really like the Kansas City Chiefs. It's quarterbacks. Something about quarterbacks in the NFL. I like quarterbacks, the really hot quarterbacks, and it's funny I'm not a Tom Brady fan if I love quarterbacks, but it's just something about New England, man. I just can't cheer for them. The only time I ever cheered for New England was when I believe they played Baltimore. I can't even remember who they played. There was one team, Chicago. I think it was the Chicago Bears they played, maybe? No, that was Indianapolis. But there's only one time I ever cheered for New England in the finals, and they won the final, of course, that year. I do remember them beating the St. Louis Rams years ago when they had Kurt Warner. That was kind of surprising. But anyways, back to the hockey talk. David says, same with me, like the Rams. I hear you, bud. Getting down to a few people here in the chat, but I do appreciate everybody who did join the chat. I know I didn't get a lot of people in here. I was not expecting to get a lot of people in here. I got over 400 subscribers, but I don't expect 20 or 30 of them to just be ready to come into my live stream. I didn't announce it. I didn't put anything on Twitter, didn't put anything on YouTube, didn't tell any of my subscribers. Wasn't planning on doing a live stream at all tonight. I just got the new webcam and I got the new mic today. I set it all up. I wanted to do a quick test run and it wouldn't work earlier. So I said, screw it, I'm going live tonight. I'm testing it out. If it doesn't work, I'm going to have to figure it out because I do have plans for going live Sunday and I want to make sure it works for Sunday. I'm probably not going to go live tomorrow night because there's not a lot to talk about. I'll be watching UFC, but Sunday, I have every intention on going live every Sunday now until the end of the season. And even if hopefully the Habs make the playoffs, but even after that, I'll probably still go live just to talk about hockey. But this is going to be a regular Sunday night thing is what I'm hoping for. It'll be, I'll probably be 8 o'clock, 8:30 Eastern, 8:30 Newfoundland Standard Time, so whatever that is, where you're to. Because we got a weird time zone here in Newfoundland. It's not Eastern, it's NL Standard Time. And a lot of people don't even know how that lines up. They have to go and check. We're almost 53 minutes into this live stream, though, guys. I do appreciate the questions. I did not think I'd get through 10 minutes of it. I thought I'd get a couple questions and everybody would jump out of it because like I say, I don't have any of my hockey stuff on. By looking at it, you wouldn't even be able to tell it's a hockey stream. It's just, I really wanted to get my background and stuff set up. I just didn't get any of it done tonight the way I wanted. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in, especially David and Rick Roller and all you regular subscribers. You guys are the best, trust me. You guys are what keeps the channel going because I don't do this to make any money. I don't make a dime off this. I just do it just to talk about hockey because I love the Habs. And have subscribers that like watch my channel regularly. Awesome, man. Truly appreciate it so much. Did I miss any questions here? Carey Price is the best, yes. Without a doubt. He wanted Brody. Love South Park. Bench and Rock Talk. I just don't follow the NFL mostly. The NHL, yeah, me too. I follow mostly the NHL. There are sports I do watch, like UFC. I'm really big on UFC. Like when Conor McGregor was in the UFC, man, they had me wrapped up. And years ago when Anderson Silva was big in the UFC, I always been a big UFC fan. But above all, since I was a kid, I've been a diehard hockey fan. When I was a kid, loved playing with hockey cards, loved reading the things on the back. Thanks, Scott. You and Rick are the best. Yeah, I really appreciate that, David Arthur. It was pretty cool to hear Simbid read out your comment and say, "Oh, David Arthur says you and Scotty are the coolest guys on YouTube." I really appreciated that. And then you forgot to say his name, and he felt all left out. That's just Matt for you know. Matt's a funny guy. I like him. I'll be doing that. He's apparently doing a Habs podcast too, and wants me to co-host it with him. So the Simbin may be doing a Habs podcast, and I may be the co-host of it. We'll see how it goes, guys. How many goals do I think Mete will get this year? I made a bold prediction on my friend's channel on the live stream. Actually, I said Mete will get 3 goals this year, but I would love to see way more. The guy has the potential to put up. If he really played well and was burying his shot, better shooting accuracy because obviously it's 0% right now. But he could be a 10-goal scorer. Wouldn't shock me to see that guy hit double digits. Excellent wheels, really nice shot, a nice oomph on the back of his wrist shot. Complements Weber well. His wheels complement Weber well. And defensively, like I said earlier in the stream, he's one of the best defensively on Montreal. Like, he's really defensively sound. Defensively, you cannot hate on Victor Mete's game. He's not a very big physical presence. He's not the best in front of the net, but all around he's excellent. And his puck retrieval, I love his puck retrieval, hockey IQ. But as far as goals this year, I'm probably going to say 3, 5, something like that. But I would love to be shocked and see him put up 10. That would be awesome. I appreciate you guys that have tuned into the live stream, tuning in though, because I didn't announce it. I didn't say nothing about it. I wasn't really expecting anybody to even, maybe a couple people see this, but the questions are awesome. I've been going for almost an hour just on a test run on my live stream, just testing my first live stream. So when I get the hockey set up in the background, when I get a better board going, I have some topics ready, man, these are going to be awesome. Every Sunday night having a hockey live stream. It won't just be Habs either, like, when I do my live streams, I know it's called Scotty2Hockey, Let's Talk Habs. We'll be talking a lot about the Montreal Canadiens, I'm sure. But obviously, will be stuff around the NHL. Like, I know my stuff. If you want to ask me a question about things going around the NHL, certain other teams, like, I've had so many minor questions today on Twitter. Oh, my God. I made a Twitter post the other day, or a couple days ago, something about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I said, F Marner, I'm getting sick of hearing all this. And so many people commented on it now saying, oh, he signed, like, let me all know at the same time, wanting to know my thoughts on it. Honestly, Toronto got themselves an excellent center, or an excellent winger, potentially 100-point player, but they did overpay for him because Tavares, without a doubt, inflated that kid's stats this year. The Rick Rose says, I was about to suggest the co-host idea. If you guys like each other and you have different energy and opinions, it could be a great combination. Me and Matt are a really good combination, actually, because Matt's more of a, we almost always have different opinions, but we never get into, like, arguments about it. We'll just debate it. We'll give each other our points. Sometimes we'll end up agreeing with each other at the end of the debate. We've done a few so far together, a few live streams, and we had our Ultimate Habs preview. But he talks slow, and he got his own style, and he's really funny, and I'm more talks fast, and I'm a stats guy, and come at you with all kinds of stats, and, like, I know a lot about the league. I have a lot of knowledge about the league, and he knows a lot of knowledge about the league too. But he comes at it in a more laid-back way, and our styles really complement each other well. At least in my opinion, they do. And then we got Talking Habs with Rick. He joined in on too as well, and he complements with us well too. So I'm hoping that podcast. He said he's going to do a Habs podcast, and he wants me to be on it. So I'm assuming he wants me to be a co-host. That would be awesome. Tyler Fortin says, does Paling and Suzuki make the team? If yes, how many points do you think each will get? I said earlier in the live stream, I think Nick Suzuki makes the team, but he may start off in Laval, and he's so good, there's no way that kid's not going to play himself into a role on the Habs. If Suzuki makes a team, if he started the season from day 1 and played till day 2 a full 82 games, would in no way shock me if Nick Suzuki had 40-plus points. The kid's offensively talented. His hockey IQ is amazing. Ryan Paling's more of a defensive center, but his offensive upside really jumped up a lot this year. He made a ton of strides offensively. Look how good he was in the World Junior Tournament. Paling, I can easily see him. He can score goals, so he can vary. I could see Paling probably getting 15 goals, 20 assists, good for 35 points. Excellent two-way center. Like Paling, the way he plays, if he transitions to the NHL the way he can, he could be a future Selke winner. He's a really good two-way player, really good two-way center. Before this year, he was known primarily as a defensive center, but obviously he had his showing at the World Juniors, and he looked really good in Habs development camp. Had a hat trick in his first ever NHL game. Paling is a good. Talking Habs, Rick says Paling is a good. Or the Rick Roller says Paling is a given to make the team. I 100% agree with you on that. How can you not have this kid in your lineup? He scored a hat trick in his NHL debut and won the game for you in a shootout. Fans alone, just to have him there, just to draw the fans in alone this year, would you'll want him on the team. But that kid, without a doubt, at the very least, should be playing third line center. The thing that concerns me with Paling is if they don't move KK up to the second line and slot Domi over to the center, or slot Domi over to the wing and play KK at center on the second line, and where's Paling going to play? If you keep your Kotkaniemi on the third line, you can't bring a player like that in and play him fourth line minutes all year. And even if you want him to work his way up the lineup, if you have no plans of putting Domi on the wing, does that mean you move KK down? Obviously that's not going to happen. So that's kind of concerning me about Paling. He could end up on a wing, or maybe because of that reason, he could start. He could. It's a possibility, a very slim possibility, but could start in Laval. David Arthur says, I see Ryan Paling as the next Guy Carbonneau. That is an absolutely excellent comparison. I never thought of that comparison myself, but yes, Guy Carbonneau is a guy who came in. He had more offensive talent, but he sacrificed a lot of his offensive talent, because my dad is a big old school Habs fan. He's schooled me on this before, especially with Carbonneau. He's a guy who had a ton of offensive talent, could have put up way more offensive numbers, but it would have hurt the team because he wouldn't have played as good defensively. So he focused so much on the defense, he gave up on he gave up plays where he could have made the wrong play to try. He could have made the risky play to try and make a stretch pass or to beat a player and score a goal. He could have made the not the smartest play, the high risk play, but he always made the smart play. He always made the right play. His hockey IQ was second to none, and defensively he was one of the best centers. And I'm so glad he's in the Hall of Fame, because when Guy Carbonneau was a coach, my God, my dad schooled me on Guy Carbonneau. I guess I underrated him as a kid. I was like, oh, he's an older Habs player. Look at his points. His points aren't off the charts. And then my dad would literally sit there and be like, you understand how important he was to this franchise? How important he was to the 90, whatever it was, Cup when they won it in the 90s, 93, 94. It's just crazy. Yeah, but that's an excellent comparison. As the future Guy Carbonneau in Montreal, that's a really good comparison, and that could be exactly what Ryan Paling ends up being. Appreciate the questions, guys, really do. And if you are tuning into the live stream and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do me a favor and do yourself a favor, because I will have plenty of live streams this year. Game reviews. After games, I'm probably going to hop on sometimes, even after games, if it's a really exciting game. Hop on and go live if I had the free time. The wife is at work tonight, and if I have the free time, why not hop on and go live and talk about the Habs game? Tyler Fortin says, how many starts does Kincaid get? Well, not as many as he got in New Jersey this year, that's for sure. Not with Carey Price, and that barring some injury, which, knock on wood, does not happen. But Kincaid, I could see. Price needs a bit of a rest after last year. He played a fuckload last year, more than he should have for sure. Kincaid, I could see playing 25 games, give Price 60 starts. Probably, maybe even more. Kincaid could play 30 games, but if I had to guess, around a 25, 27 game mark, something like that. And I'm hoping he can get 15 wins if he does play 25 games, because Niemi killed the Habs on a stretch last year. He was solid in the first half of the season, and then in the last few games after the break when he got started, he lost pretty much every game. And the games when they gave him a chance, when they wanted to rest Price, he fucking sucked so much. Price had to come in and play the end of the game for him. It was just ridiculous how bad Niemi was at the end of the year. And I'm not surprised he got traded. And he's such a letdown because he looked so good in Price's absence in the 2017-2018 season. He had a better goals against and a better save percentage. And he played just as many games in 2017-2018. I was really expecting Niemi to be an excellent backup. I was telling everybody coming into last season we got one of the best backups in the league. And fuck did that guy ever let me down. If there's any kids tuning into my live stream, pardon the language. David Arthur says, I think he is better than Jonathan Toews for the Chicago Blackhawks. Who, Paling? It's kind of hard to say that. Maybe he could be as good as Toews one day, but the thing about Toews is Toews has the excellent defense, he's excellent both ways, but Toews' offensive upside, even as a prospect, blows anything Ryan Paling has under the water as far as it comes offensively. Jonathan Toews was a pivotal part of Canada winning World Junior Gold. I believe he was on the World Junior Gold medal team, but I remember him in the shootout scoring 3 goals and just being an offensive dynamo. And then he came into the NHL and transitioned so well defensively too. Jonathan Toews is one of the, maybe not right now, but especially when Chicago won the Cups runs, one of the most underrated players in the league and so good at both ends of the ice. Jonathan Toews, right now he isn't what he was. Paling could easily be better than him in a year or two, but as far as his career goes, I don't know if he's going to be what Jonathan Toews was. Jonathan Toews is a future Hall of Famer and one hell of a player. Part of Team Canada when they won gold, like, that's a really good comparison though, because a lot of people do compare Ryan Paling to Jonathan Toews, but I do not. I'm a huge Habs fan. I'm so hopeful for Paling, but I cannot say honestly that I think he's going to be better than Jonathan Toews. But I hope you're right. I really hope you're right, David. That would be nice. Excuse me, guys. I had to get a drink. My throat is kind of going here. But yeah, I do appreciate everybody who did tune into the live stream tonight. I'm probably going to do another 10 or 15 minutes if I can get a few more questions. But I appreciate David, Tyler, Rick, everybody who's in on the live stream. Who else do we got in the live stream? A couple people here. And don't forget Sean. Sean, thank you very much. Josh, appreciate everybody who tuned in, guys. Tyler Fortin says, do you think Bergevin should make another offer sheet on an RFA? If yes, who? I believe it might have been David who suggested earlier. Kyle Connor. There's a lot of rumors going around that Kyle Connor could get offer sheeted. He's not going to be the type of guy you're going to have to give money to that would cost you 4 first rounds. Like somebody like Laine, you're going to have to give him a $10 million offer sheet, $9 million offer sheet. Somehow, some way, he's going to cost you a first-round draft pick. There are ways to offer sheet Connor where you're probably not going to have to give up a first, maybe 2 seconds and a third or something like that. Can't remember exactly how it's structured, but anything over 8 or 9 mil, you're offering up a first. But if you can go under that, you can pull off an offer sheet without having to compensate the other team with first-round picks. And we know, if there's one thing I know about Marc Bergevin, he is not giving up this year's first-round pick. It's in Montreal. He wants to draft in the first round in Montreal. I'm assuming he does. The draft is in Montreal. I would assume he wants the first-round pick there to, pick somebody in the first round. David Arthur, I meant he will be the future Toews. He could easily be. Yes, he could easily be, for sure. He has all the upside in the world, but I was such a big Jonathan Toews fan. My stepdad is actually a diehard Chicago Blackhawks fan, and I told him before they won the Stanley Cup, when they got Toews and Kane when they were younger, I said, these are the future of your franchise. These kids are one. I told him, I was like, I bet my life on it that these kids are going to win your team a Stanley Cup, because he went 50 years without seeing his team win a cup, and they've sure enough 3 of them. Really appreciate it, David. Yes, thank you very much. Tyler Fortin says, all right, how many goals would Connor get in Montreal? He's a 30-goal scorer. He's had back-to-back 30-goal seasons, if I'm not mistaken, and playing with really good players on his line. Stick somebody like Domi or Tatar on his line, or somebody like that, somebody who can help him out, somebody who can a playmaker on Connor's line. He had 60 points this year, 30 goals. He's more of a goal scorer than a playmaker in my mind. He's a guy who could really help the power play and could come in and score. 30 goals is what he's known for, but he has 40 goal potential easily. And he didn't just score 30, it was a bit over 30, but he's in 30 range, Kyle Connor is, and consistently in the 30 range, so he'd be a good guy to offer sheet. Say 7 mil per, and he could sign for that. And Winnipeg's going to be capped out after Laine. I don't think they're going to have enough to sign Connor, because Laine's going to want $10 million, $9 million. If Mitch Marner is getting fucking 10.8, there's no way Laine isn't worth at least $9 million, because the season before last he had 44 goals, man. There's no way that guy is not worth it. Armin, what's up, buddy? I haven't seen you in a live stream in a while. I haven't done a live stream in a while, so that's probably why I haven't seen you. But Armin, good to see you, my friend. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Another great subscriber. Armin, he's always in on the games when I do live streams. Armin, this every Sunday from now on, I'm going to be doing a live stream talking about the Habs all week, especially throughout the season, reviewing the games. And sometimes after games, I'll hop on and do a live stream. Even sometimes during games, I'll be live streaming the games. I'm going to do as many as I can because that's my favorite thing to do on YouTube. No joke, is to live stream games. Love it. I love when the Habs are having a great game and I'm doing a live stream and there's like 20 people in the chat and we're just talking about how Montreal. People are telling me all kinds of inside stuff. I learn all kinds of stuff from my subscribers. It's awesome. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, like you say, this is just a test run tonight. I wasn't planning on doing a big, long live stream. I don't have any of my hockey stuff in the back. I didn't have any of my topics written out. I didn't even have a drink on hand. I was just going to do a little test run, but I managed to get enough questions tonight, enough people in here that I managed to get over an hour in, so that's awesome, guys. I truly appreciate it. I hope you like the new mic and the new webcam setup, too. I know it isn't the best quality. It's only for live streams, but hopefully the mic sounds good on your end, guys, because I used to do my live streams on my phone, believe it or not, my iPhone, but I had to go out and buy a mic. A lot of people were giving me shit about the mic. A lot of people were saying, oh, your channel's great. I love your ideas. I love listening to you, but your mic fucking kills me, man, and I completely understand what they're saying. Do I know Matt from Scotia Canadians? Do I know Matt personally, like, to go, like, talk to him? No, but I do talk to Matt a lot through his YouTube channel, and he's actually said to me before we should do a collab. He commented on one of my videos before, and he told me I was doing great, and that he watches my channel, and I was like, God, I really appreciate that, man. You're one of my favorite, he's probably the best Habs channel, actually, right now, for just strictly Habs channels. He probably has the most subscribers. And he actually mentioned to me one time, he's like, I love your channel, I love your videos, and he said one time we could possibly do a collab, and now that I have the setup to do it, if Scotian Canadians hears this, I would love to do a collab with him anytime. Definitely would help me with subscribers, and I love that guy's ideas, and just the way he lays it out. If you haven't seen his channel, guys, check it out, Scotian Canadians, subscribe. He knows his stuff, and I love his layout. I love his background. I love his setup. His mic is awesome. His camera is top-notch. And his whole Montreal setup that he has in the background, he's obviously from Halifax, so he has Moosehead stuff in the background too, is sick. He must have been collecting his hockey stuff for a while. Unfortunately, I have a wife and a kid, and I do have an office in my house, but there's no way my wife is going to let me hockey it out like that. I want a man cave so bad. We're planning on moving out. I'm actually looking for better houses right now. I'm trying to find we're currently in a 3-bedroom. I'm trying to find a 4-bedroom with an office, and I'd turn that office into my man cave, because as for right now, the wife's not having it. Y'all already know. How's it going, bud? He says, what do you think of the lines of Team A and Team B? I actually didn't see the Team A and Team B lines. I did the training camp roster, but I didn't see how they did the lineups out. I didn't get a chance to see that myself yet. But I'm assuming I'm gonna have to go online and check those out, and I will most likely be doing a video on that actually. Do you know? It sounds good. Armin says, I heard Line is in trade talks to Montreal for Tatar via Sportsnet. If it's Tatar going the other way, I would not hate that, because Tatar he's a good player. He had career highs in Montreal this year. He only had, I believe, 51 points, 40s. I know he was in the 40s or 50s, but as far as a player goes, Laine is so much better than Tatar. Laine on a down season is scoring 30 goals. I love Tatar. He's one of my favorite players, but Laine on a down season is scoring 30 goals. 44 last year. His career high is far above Thomas Tatar's career high, and Thomas Tatar has been in the league for a long time. Excellent player, does so much for you, but as far as what the Habs need, Laine does a lot more for the Habs than what Tatar brings. Because Laine, you can stick him on the power play, and he's going to bury goals for you. He's going to bring power play goals, and the Habs need that so much. And they need a pure goal scorer. Love Brendan Gallagher. He's pretty much the only true pure goal scorer on the team. So Patrick Laine on the other side, man, he would be awesome in a Habs uniform. It's just the price of Laine. Like, people are saying, oh, they should give Laine $10.5, $11 million. Good player, but man, he's inconsistent too, and he has really 2 good seasons, but this season he had 2 5-goal games, if I'm not mistaken, bunch of multi-goal games, what happened to him for the rest of the games? He only had 30 goals. The inconsistency is what worries me about Laine. So if the price was good, would love to see Patrick Laine in a Habs uniform. You already know is telling me the lineups here now. Tyler Fortin says, do you think Domi re-signs with Montreal this summer? If yes, how much? I 100% think Domi re-signs with Montreal this summer. Read a few quotes from Mark Bergevin lately. He's trying to sign Domi long term. This is not a guy he just wants to sign for a little while until the prospects develop and then let go. Domi should re-sign as a Hab, and if I had to guess the price tag, he had a few drop-off years in Arizona, and then he came to Montreal, had a really big breakout year at center, but you had to factor in those years in Arizona, especially the year before he came to Montreal. Only 9 goals, 5 of them empty netters. You had to factor it into. I don't think this is a one-and-done season for Domi. I think he could consistently play at this pace, but because of that, you kind of can't offer him a giant contract. $6.57 million would be more than fair for Domi, in my opinion, and I could see him signing for that for sure. Now, I want to get to these lines because y'all already know. Just listen to lines. Thank you very much. Y'all already know. This must be for the Team A. Domi, Drouin, and Leckie. Team B. Armia, KK, and Byron. Or Team A, excuse me. Domi, Drouin, Leckie. Armia, KK, Byron. Wheel, Suzuki, and Hudon. Those lines, I don't like. If you're listed the way you have them listed, I don't like Drouin at center on the top line, that's for sure. Domi has to be the center on the top line. I don't like Lehkonen on the top line with Drouin and Domi myself personally. Don't get me wrong, he's a really good player, but he's just not producing offensively the way those guys are. Even Drouin, when he's struggling, is a lot better offensively than Lehkonen. But if you check my breakout stars video, I had Artturi Lehkonen as one of the potential breakout stars this year for the Montreal Canadiens. Really needs to work on his finishing ability. But I do like the lines. Armia, KK, and Byron. Now that's a line I love, but I would love to see KK play with more talented wingers. Slide him up to the second line this year. Move Domi to the wing. Drouin, KK, Domi line. He's playing with 2 excellent wingers. 2 guys that can put up over 50 points. Would definitely help KK's point totals and would definitely help him grow. Wheel, Suzuki, and Hudon. Oh, Suzuki, there you go. That's the lineup I'm talking about. Wheel, I do like that lineup a lot, and I would love to see what I see from Charles Hudon. Charles Hudon's a player that I think people are underselling a little bit. Yes, he struggled last year in Montreal. Yes, he didn't do much, but you had to think about 2017, 2018. The team sucked, and Charles Hudon played fucking wicked. He had 20 goals. I believe it was 30 points. On a shit team, and he barely played, and he was really good in 2017, 2018. There's more to that guy's game than people give him credit for. It's why they re-signed him, if not to trade him. But man, you can't. Hudon, in my opinion, has more to offer. We have not seen the last of Charles Hudon. Team A. Okay, now we're going to get to Team B now, and then I'll get to the rest of your questions. You already know this is Team B. Tatar, Deneau, and Gallagher on the top line. Beautiful top line. Love it. 100%. If you've seen any of my videos, I'm huge in that top line. We have Veroni, Paling, and Pekka on the second line. That's an interesting line right there. I don't know a lot about Veroni myself. I do like what I've seen from Matthew Pekka. Do not think he has a chance of competing for the 4th line spot in Montreal. Paling and Suzuki are the 2 names that are jumping out to me. Suzuki's on Team A. Paling's on Team B. Or no, they're both on Team A. That's the 4th line. There you go. That's the 4th line for Team A. No, Suzuki. Paling's on Team B. Never mind, that's the 2nd line. So Veroni, Paling, and Pekka. So Suzuki's going to be on Team A, and Paling's going to be on Team B. So we're not going to get to see him play on the same team. But we did in the rookie tournament, and unfortunately, it wasn't as good as we all hoped. I know it was a rookie tournament. Jesperi Kotkaniemi didn't look great in the rookie tournament either, but man, anybody who says Paling and Suzuki looked good in those rookie tournament games, I don't know what you were watching. They had flashes of brilliance. They looked good at certain points. But overall, as far as what we were expecting as fans, let down. Especially Paling with the hot dog, man, trying to do too much. Joe says, sometimes I think Byron is our best player. Besides Price, of course. Just the way Byron plays, he's just as good. What do I think? Well, Max Domi agrees with you, that's for sure, because they asked him recently on Tim and said when he came to Montreal, Who was the player that blew him away the most? Who was the player that he watched and was like, man, my God, this guy's good? The first player, without even hesitating, he said Paul Barn. He said he's good all over the ice. He's so fast. His wheels blew him away. He can play center. He can play wing. So, yes, I don't think he's the Habs' best player, but he's really underrated and could easily crack the top 6 this year. Easily. Barn has 25, 30 goal potential without a doubt. He's already scored 20 goals in the league. For a waiver pickup, guys, like steal. Drew Ann's on the wing, my bad. Yeah, I get you already know. When I read that, I was like, they had to have Drew Ann on the wing. But they have him listed as a center on the training camp roster, which blows me away. Because I did a training camp roster video today, have him listed as a center. But thank you to you already know for telling me the Team A and Team B lineups. If you didn't catch me reading them out, check the chat. There's the lineups right there. Great lines. Levi Ackerman, what's up, Levi? Says, who do you think will be the dark horse and the Habs? Arturi Lehkonen. I think it's Arturi Lehkonen. I think if that guy works on his finishing ability, there's a reason why he was being played in the top 6 this year. Tons of tenacity, tons of energy, excellent penalty killer, excellent defensively, wicked wheels, good shot, just the finishing ability, whether it's bad puck luck, whatever you want to call it, fucking score more, dude. Like, just score more. The dude has 20 goal potential. All those plays when he got in on his own and could have scored and just couldn't do it, just got either stoned or missed the net. Enough to kill you with that guy because he's so good. He's so good. You already know, hate that Paling ain't with the talented wingers. Yeah, me too, but I think in Montreal this year anyways, I don't think they're going to want a bunch of him offensively. He's going to be more of a, he'll be a depth scorer, but they want to develop him as a two-way center. Like I say, Ryan Paling, if I had to look at all the prospects in the NHL right now, Ryan Paling is a guy I could easily see winning Selkies down the road. Not anytime soon. 5, 6 years, 7 years into his career, could be a Selkie Award winner for sure. Excellent two-way center, guys. But I would like to see him play with more talented wingers too. I would love to see Paling and Suzuki on the same team in the training camp and in the preseason too. David says, I like Matt. He's talking about Matt from the Simbin. Yes, Matt from the Simbin is very funny. You already know, says, and I agree that KK should play with Drouin and Domi. He needs to play with more talented wingers. I actually heard a guy on NHL Tonight make that point. I believe it was Mike Johnson made the point where he said, KK needs to play with more talented wingers. He would have had 40 to 45 points this year if he was playing on the second line. Obviously, he's too young. Claude Julien were trying to shelter him. And one thing you guys got to know about KK, he played on the third line, but he only played under 14 minutes a game. The kid put up 34 points playing under 13 minutes a game, playing under 14 minutes a game. Nobody else on the team playing that limited amount of minutes would have had that many points, except maybe Domi. Like if Drouin was playing 13 minutes a game, he would not have had close to 53 points. He probably would have been in the KK range. You already know, says Cousins, Thompson, and Weiss. Oh, that's the last line. Weiss isn't making the team, guys. Thompson and Cousins, one of those guys are going to be the fourth line center if Jordan Wheel doesn't get slided back to center. But I think Wheel's going to be a winger. Thompson and Cousins is one of those guys going to be fourth line center. They can't play Paling fourth line minutes. It would be crazy if they played him for fourth line minutes. You already know, says that. That's all I remember. The rest. Yes, thank you very much. The second game, they were trash. Oh, they were against Winnipeg. We live streamed that game on my friend the Simbin's channel. If you haven't seen it, check out the Simbin. He did a live stream of this, two of the games, Ottawa and the Winnipeg game, the first two games, and he shows the game too, guys. So if you haven't seen the game, check out his channel where we live stream it and we talk through the whole game and we pick out certain points, what we like in players, and we just shoot random Habs shit. But man, yeah, they were brutal. They were brutal in the first two games. I'm not gonna lie, and they lost. You want them to win. That's the main reason why we're watching as Habs fans. Joe said, Joe, what's up, Joe? I appreciate it. Appreciate you joining the live stream. Joe, I had a thought the other day. I asked Matt this earlier. Since he hasn't met expectations, and we already know we have his brother, can we try Hayden Fleury at some point? Caden Fleury, excuse me. Hayden Fleury, yes. In my opinion, I think it would be cool. Yeah, I guess so. I don't really know a lot about Cale Fleury's brother. I'm not going to lie. That's a prospect you kind of caught me off guard with. Don't know a ton about him. But as far as Cale Fleury, He could end up playing third pairing right-handed D this year. He's been in Laval for a bit now. Joel Bouchard's seen him go from a boy to a man. That guy is going to be NHL ready soon enough, and there's no way he doesn't crack Montreal's lineup soon enough. Future right-handed defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens, Cale Fleury, and maybe, hopefully, we could get his brother too. That wouldn't, I wouldn't hate it if he's a good player. Rick Roller says, I think that they want to give him a chance, and if he doesn't do well fast, he will be traded. Oh, he's definitely talking about, you must be talking about Drouin, are you, Rick? If you're talking about Drouin, then yes, I agree with you there for sure. Who else could we be talking about? Were you talking about Drouin, Rick? Let me know, because if you were talking about Drouin, I will totally go into that a bit more. You already know, says, by pronoun, Paling was ranked 65th amongst all 65th amongst all NHL prospects. That's it. He should have been higher than that on the list. He's 65th. Cole Caulfield was 25th. Wow, that's kind of low for Paling, especially after being the World Junior MVP. You're ranked 55th. Who else? Did they have any other Habs prospects? Did they have Suzuki above him? I did the prospecting. Actually, no, I don't think they did have Suzuki. I actually did a video on that, the top 100 prospects in the NHL, and Caulfield was 25. I mainly focused on Caulfield, but wow, 65th. I cannot remember Paling being that low, but obviously you are right, and that's kind of crazy. He deserves to be at least scraping top 50, if not top 50. A couple guys have him ranked as the Habs' #1 prospect, actually. I've seen a few hockey channels where they do Habs prospects, and they rank Paling as the #1 guy. For me, it's Suzuki. For me, it's a toss-up between Suzuki and Caulfield as the best prospect in the system, but Paling's right there, too. Levi Ackerman. Who do you think will be the dark horse for the Habs? Do you think KK will become an impact player this season? Oh, 100% Levi. If you haven't seen it, go through my channel. I did a Spiri Kakaniemi is going to be a future superstar for the Montreal Canadiens video, and man, did I get a ton of criticism for it. I didn't mean exactly this year, but yes, I do think KK will be an impact player for the Montreal Canadiens this year. I think he will be slotted up to the second line. Domi will be moved over to the wing, and he will have 50-plus points, 20 goals this year. KK put on 10 pounds of muscle this year. 10 pounds of muscle, excuse me. The talent is undeniable. I don't see a sophomore slump for this kid. He was sheltered last year. He was played the right way. He wasn't overplayed. People are saying Brady Tkachuk is so much better. Brady Tkachuk played top 6 minutes in Ottawa and had a much bigger role. He was not sheltered at all. And KK pretty much did just as good as Tkachuk point was. So I don't know what people are talking about right there. And KK's a center. He played under 14 minutes a game. Totally expect him to be an impact player for the Montreal Canadiens this year. If they expect to make the playoffs, he has to be. But great question. Really appreciate that, guys. You already know Pronam. Oh, I read that one. No, I didn't. Pronam ranked Caulfield 6th in front of Turcotte and Doc, and Suzuki was 18th. Oh, I was reading the NHL's list. He did with the Pronam list. They had Caulfield ranked 6th. Wow, that's super high. And Suzuki was 18th, and they got Paling all the way down to 65th. They think Paling's that far below Suzuki. What about his defensive abilities and the fact that he's legitimately going to be a center? I think Nick Suzuki's going to be a wing in the NHL. Ron Paling has all the tools to be a legit two-way center. Like I say, Jonathan Toews type, maybe not the ceiling Toews has, but man, there's no way. 65th is really low, bud. David Arthur says, good night, Scotty, and have a good one. Good night, David. Have a great one, and stay tuned Sunday for my upcoming live streams. Obviously, they will be a lot more professional than this, guys. I will have hockey stuff in the background. I'll have my Habs hat on. I'll have topics written, ready to go. This was supposed to be a test run, just a quick live stream to see if I can get a few subscribers in here, answer a couple questions to see if I could see how my live stream went, make sure it wasn't lagging and stuff. But, man, this has been excellent. I've got a ton of questions so far. I've been going for over an hour. I'll probably go another 10 minutes, guys, and then we're going to have to call it quits. Because, unfortunately, my wife gets off work, and I wish she was, but she's just not a hockey fan. She watches UFC with me. I can't bribe her to watch hockey with me. I guess it's the way I act when I'm watching hockey. I'm kind of hyped when I'm watching hockey. If you see my live streams, you can tell. But, yeah, when the wife comes home, she's going to immediately be like, turn the live stream off, hang out with me, watch a movie, and I'm like, why? Why would you do that to me? I need this. It's hockey talk, man. Habs is just around the corner. Okay, I'll get down to the questions, guys. I'm rambling a bit. I meant Lehkonen. Oh, yes, Lehkonen. What was the question again? Yes, 100% Lehkonen. I don't think Lehkonen will be traded. I think the coach likes Lehkonen too much because Lehkonen does a lot. He doesn't make a lot of money. They got him on a pretty good deal. I believe they re-signed him again this offseason, or yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this offseason again they re-signed him. Lehkonen does a lot. He isn't a big cap hit, and he has a ton of potential. You trade that guy away, he could explode somewhere else. David says, never mind, I will stay. Thanks, David. Appreciate it very much. Joe says, personally, I believe Drouin played extremely well for that short bit. When he was playing with Deneau and Gallagher, do you think that could be good? Do you think that could be good? Full-time first line for us. I don't want to see Tatar taken off that line because Drouin could really screw up the chemistry with his inconsistency. Deneau, Tatar, and Gallagher were the most consistent line on the Habs. One of the best 5-on-5 leagues in the one of the best 5-on-5 lines, in the East. I would not want to see that line getting broke up myself personally. If they really started sucking, like if Tatar started sucking, or the chemistry just wasn't the same, they weren't gelling like they were last year, 10, 20 games in. Yes, I would like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Drouin getting a shot up on the top line, but the work ethic is just not there with Drouin. And playing with guys like Brendan Gallagher, they're night and day different players. I don't know, but I would like. It could be an experiment that could work. Maybe Gallagher could drag the best out of Jonathan Drouin. He's the type of player that definitely could. Levi Ackerman, or excuse me, I didn't mean to skip your question. Y'all already know, says, I believe Suzuki has a higher potential than Poehling, because he has a bigger skill set than Poehling, which is why he is a higher ranked prospect, even if he is less NHL ready. Yeah, in the long run, if you watch my prospect videos, I've done 2 top 10 prospect rankings videos because I've had to change a few after the draft. My most recent prospect video after the draft, I had Nick Suzuki at number 1, and a lot of people were saying I was crazy for not having Cole Caulfield at number 1. Nick Suzuki, man, in the OHL playoffs, he literally looked like a man among boys. The talent is there with that kid. And he might be NHL ready. He could come into Montreal. He could do excellent in the preseason, do what KK did last year, make it so that they have no choice but to put him on the team. And he could thrive this year in Montreal. This could be a breakout year for Nick Suzuki. If Nick Suzuki was up for the Calder at the end of the year, I would be far from shocked. And that's not, in my opinion, that's not even an overstatement. Levi Ackerman says, with the Marner signing, how much will they sign Domi for? Max Domi, I know Marner signing does affect the restricted free agents right now, but Marner also had 94 points and 70-odd the year before that. Max Domi had 2 really bad years in Arizona prior to coming to Montreal. 9 goals the year prior to this with 5 empty netters. You had to factor that into it. I don't think it's a one and done with Domi, but you had to factor it in that he might not hit 70 points this year. He might not be the 70-point player, 80-point player people like myself are predicting him to be. So if you're going to sign him before the end of the season, which you had to do because if he does explode and play excellent, we could have a Marner situation on our hands. I'd say $6 million, $7 million in that price range is fair for Domi. If you were going to overpay him, maybe go 7.5. But any higher than that, no. But he does play center too. So if he got $8 million, I wouldn't be shocked. But $8 million would be an overpayment at this point. Y'all already know, says, in my opinion, Domi is probably going to sign for a similar deal to someone like Keller. 7 to 8 million years, $7 million per. Yeah, I don't know what Arizona was thinking signing that kid that much. He really regressed in his sophomore year. You can blame the offense around him. He's far from proven. Like, he had a really good rookie year, don't get me wrong, but he only had 40-something points this year. You give the kid $7 million after he had a down year, after he had a sophomore slump, and you sign him long term. They obviously work with him day in, day out. They know stuff we don't know. They're seeing a lot from this kid. They really, really like him, but to risk that much on that long of a term on a kid like that really hasn't done a whole lot in the NHL, yeah, maybe that could affect somebody like Max Domi's contract. He could look at that and say, well, this kid's getting so much. On a down year, I should be getting this much. So, yeah, I guess so. I guess that could affect Max Domi's contract, but I don't think he's the kind of player that's going to look at stuff like that. I think he's just going to want a fair offer, fair value when he'll sign. Because if there's one thing we have learned from Max Domi since he's come to the Montreal Canadiens, he loves playing in Montreal, and he has no problem putting himself front and center and saying that. As you can tell by him pretty much bashing the Leafs in his comments this offseason and saying, what's the difference between the Leafs and the Habs franchise? Why are you so big on the Habs franchise? Why do you think Montreal's better? His response was the best response I heard all year. 24 Stanley Cups, what else do I have to say? Like, does that not sum it up right there? Excuse me, guys, I had to take a quick sip of my drink. You already know says, do you think Suzuki or Paling will make the cut this year? I'm pretty sure I touched on this earlier. Ryan Paling, in my opinion, is pretty much a lock to make the team. He would have to play himself out of a role, look really bad in the preseason not to make the team. Nick Suzuki is another story. He may play in Laval for a little bit and then get called up to the Habs, but eventually this season, I expect to see both of them on the team this year. There's no way they both don't get at least a couple games in this year for the Habs. Too talented not to. David Asher says, do you drink coffee? I actually don't drink coffee, to be honest, because I'm hyper enough as it is, and if I started drinking coffee, I would probably be bouncing off the walls right now. You already know says, do you think Suzuki or Paling will make... Oh, sorry, I read that one, guys. My bad. Joe, what's up, Joe? Joe says, do you think Sherratt can become what we thought Alzner was going to be when we signed him? Because in my opinion, I think the Sherratt signing is like an apology for the unfortunate slump Alzner has been on. I think Sherratt is going to be far better than Alzner, in my opinion. He's just a better net front presence. His style of game is better. And most of all, Sherratt's not fast by no means, but he's way better skater than Karl Alzner. Because Karl Alzner has all the talent. He does have the talent. He's a big body. He's good at laying the body. In Washington, he was an effective player. He was even decent in front of the net. It's just he's slowed down so much. The wheels are gone off that guy. He's just not what he was. The speed isn't there for him to play in the NHL. He just doesn't have the speed to play in the NHL. Maybe as a depth, a third liner on a really bad team, he could crack a spot. But on this team, no way. Not with the prospects we have. And yeah, maybe that is why he brought in Sherratt to make up for the Alzner thing, to bring in a player that is kind of similar to Alzner, but a lot better. Top line in Winnipeg, excellent net front presence, big nasty player. Sherratt's going to be an excellent addition to the Habs. And one player Sherratt is really going to help, Carey Price. He's going to be clearing that traffic in front, and if Price sees it, he stops it. Levi Ackerman says, Domi teared it up in the World Junior Championships, which was played in Montreal. Yeah, that's where I fell in love with Max Domi. That's where a lot of people fell in love with Max Domi. Actually, I believe Connor McDavid was in those World Junior Championships too. They were excellent. Max Domi was amazing, and he was really good for the London Knights too. But that's where Max Domi put himself on the map. Kind of like Jordan Eberle before he came to the NHL. Everybody loved Eberle. He was one. If you didn't love Eberle playing for the World Junior or playing for Canada in the World Juniors, I don't know what you were watching, because Eberle, like Domi, he made his name in the World Juniors before he even came to the NHL and was already highly anticipated because of the World Juniors. Kind of like Paling this year, he really made a name for himself in the World Juniors this year too. Because if you ask the average fan, they know who Ryan Paling is. Before this year, they probably wouldn't have, but after the World Juniors, most fans did. I had to get to some of these questions, guys. Sorry, I don't mean to be skipping anybody. If I did skip your question, I'm sorry, guys. Chewy, what's up? One of my other great subscribers, been here for quite a while. He says, LOL, how about 1967 before you were born? Oh, yeah, a nice while before I was born. I was born in 1988, in case anybody's wondering. I'm 31 years old. You already know, says, I missed the beginning of the live stream. My bad. LOL. Yeah, a lot of people did. Nobody knew I was going live. Didn't post it on Twitter. It wasn't a planned thing. I just got all my new equipment tonight. I got a new webcam. Finally got a new mic, guys, so you can obviously hopefully hear me better than what you usually do, because the mic has been a thing I've been getting a lot of crap for. But yeah, I wasn't planning on, I wasn't expecting to have a lot of people in there, so I'm not surprised if you guys missed anything at the beginning of this. People who are going to watch this afterwards for the first 20 minutes or half hour are probably going to be like, what is this guy doing? Like, I was just trying to figure out a few technical things and stuff and just trying to get the hang of it. Neil McLeod. Hey, Neil, what's up, friends? He says, what's the chance of the Habs getting Laine? What's the chance of the Habs getting Laine? Probably slim, because there are going to be other teams after Laine if Winnipeg's willing to trade for him. But they could offer sheet him. I wouldn't doubt they'd give him an offer sheet if the price was right. But the odds are if the Habs were going to target a player on Winnipeg, it would be Kyle Connor, because the compensation, you're not going to have to give Kyle Connor as high of a cap hit as Patrick Laine, in my opinion. And the compensation wouldn't be as much. You pick up a player like Kyle Connor, you could pick up that player for, say, $7 million per. You won't have to give back a first-round pick the other way. You pick up a player like Patrick Laine, who's already scored 40 goals in the league. Not to mention Kyle Connor has 2 back-to-back 30-goal seasons, who's already scored 40 goals in the league, is prior to this year was considered up there with Matthews. It was considered between Matthews and Laine as the best young player in the league, the best young goal scorer, but it had a really big drop-off this year. You're probably going to have to pay $9 million for Patrick Laine. You're going to have to give up more compensation, and I don't think the Habs want to give up first-round picks, especially this year's first-round pick, because it's in Montreal, the draft is. So I'd say slim on picking up Laine, but there is a remote chance he's the type of player the Habs could use. Helps the power play so much. Pure goal scorer. The Habs need pure goal scorers. So many playmakers on this team. Great question, though. I appreciate it very much. You already know. Oh, I forgot to mention the defensive pairings in camp. Oh, I'd love to hear the defensive pairings in camp. Kulak and Brook is the first one. Is that on Team A? This is Team A, I'm assuming. So the first pairings on Team A would be Mete Weber, of course, Sherratt and Petrie, Walla and Jolson. That's a surprise. And second ones on Team B, I'm assuming, are Kulak and Brook. Kulak and Brook, that's an interesting one. Alsner and Folin, Leskinen and Riley. I don't like Alsner and Folin. Why would they put that line together? Those are two slow players. Like, Folin's not as slow as Alsner, but those are two slow players. They are not going to complement each other well. But as far as those lines, the top 4 for the Team A is pretty much the top 4 I have slotted for the Montreal Canadiens this year myself. It's going to be Mete, Weber, Sherratt, and Petrie, because Brett Kulak's, they didn't bring Ben Sherratt in to play a depth role, especially for what he's getting paid and why he did in Winnipeg. He's going to be top 4. He would not complement Shea Weber well. So unless Victor Mete gets moved down the lineup and somehow Kulak comes up or another player comes up, it should be Mete and Weber, Sherratt, and Petrie. And the fourth line, left-handed position, I'm assuming is Kulak. And if I had to take a bet on it, if you put a gun to my head and said pick a right-handed defenseman right now for the third line, Noah Jolson. But Josh Brook, Cale Fleury could beat him out. Cale Fleury is my surprise pick to make the team. Everything is looking good. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Everything is looking good. Levi Ackerman says, everything is looking good, Scotty. I agree with you. I'm going to answer a few more questions, guys. My wife just got home, so I'm going to have to end the stream soon. I really hope you are enjoying it, but I will answer a few more of your questions. David Arthur, only 6 more minutes because my iPad is on 6%. Well, at least you're watching. That's the main thing. I really appreciate it. You watch until your iPad dies, man. Don't let it affect your iPad. I wouldn't want you to not have power because of me. Chewy says, Chewy Limited, you know I think the Canadians should offer Sheet Connor, and if they don't or do, then go after Laine. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, Chewy. I don't know about go after Laine, depending on the price. If the price is right, yes, they'd have to give him a decent offer sheet. But Kyle Connor, yes, I would 100% agree on that. Joe says, to me, Alsner has been the best attitude for a Habs player. Got the right mindset, doesn't put himself before the team. The way he responded when he was brought down to Laval really made me happy. Yeah, he does have a great attitude, don't get me wrong. How can you not have a good attitude? You have to have a good attitude. If you're negative and you're getting paid, the cap hit you're getting paid, and you're not playing for the Montreal Canadiens, No one, all Habs fans are going to target you and not like you. He does have a good personality. He's always been known as a good person in the league. He's always been that kind of person. But as a player, man, he has killed Montreal with that contract. That contract is looming over the Habs' head to this day. Okay, 2 more questions, guys. Shane Dixon, what's up, Shane Dixon? I appreciate you joining my live stream. It's my first ever live stream. Not the most professional, guys. It will be a lot better after this. Hockey stuff in the background, hockey hat on the head, topics ready to go, a lot more professional. This is my first ever one. I'm just winging it tonight. But Shane Dixon says, Scotty, what do you think about throwing all these kids in the pool? Suzuki, Paley, and Caulfield, considering they have all dominated so far up to this point, and they are considered the future. Yeah, give me a minute, I'll be ready. Just answer the question there. The prospect pool is night and day from what it was last year. Cole Caulfield at the draft this year, what a steal. If you guys see my mock draft, I had him at number 4 going to Colorado. The Habs got him at 15. You look at the prospect pool last year, so much better than what it was, so much better this year than what it was last year. We had Romanoff last year, we had Paling, we had a couple other promising young prospects, we had Cale Fleury, Josh Brook, but you look at it this year, we have Cole Caulfield, we have Nick Suzuki, we have Alexander Romanoff, we have other young exciting, even guys like Otto Leskinen who got signed. The prospect pool is stacked, and I really, really like all these young guys. And my favorite out of the bunch, I've said it 100 times, I'll say it again, Nick Suzuki, in my opinion, has the highest ceiling out of all the prospects. Goal-wise, Cole Caulfield could be a future 40, 50 goal scorer for the Montreal Canadiens, but overall, as an NHL player, as what I project to be a good NHL player, Nick Suzuki has all the tools in his toolbox. Man, that guy got skill. Okay. 2 more questions, guys. I had to end it because my wife's home. I really do. And I got work in the morning, too. But good night, David. David Arthur says good night. And if I missed any of your questions, sorry, guys. And please do not forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. You don't got to if you don't want to, but I would truly appreciate it. I keep faith, says, hi, Scott. Really appreciate your videos and streams. You know your stuff. I really appreciate that compliment, Faith, and I really appreciate you watching my videos and streams. Have a lot more content coming out for you this summer, or this season, excuse me. The summer's over. This season. And the very last question of the night goes to, y'all already know. Do you think Drouin will finally be a breakout, or will he be a bust? The best question to end on. Drouin said this offseason that he worked with Dominic Ducharme. He didn't have to do this. This was in his own time. Worked with Dominic Ducharme, going over video. They went over a lot of video, looking at his flaws, looking at comparable players, what they do to stay consistent, and that is great to hear. I hope he transitions it this year, and I do think he will break out this year. I do think Jonathan Drouin will have, I think this year he's really going to break out. I don't think he's going to be on the top line. He's going to stay on the second line with Max Domi, and I hope K can get signed up there too. I think the second line eventually will be Drouin, KK, Domi. They will all thrive, and I could easily see Jonathan Drouin having 60 to 65 points, and on a really, really good season, 70 points. The guy has the ceiling, has the potential. He showed in the first half of the season. He has the point production. It's just the consistency and the work ethic. But my final answer to the final question of the night, yes, I do believe Jonathan Drouin is going to break out this year. My prediction, 60 to 65 points on the second line with KK and Domi. Go Habs, go. Thank you for tuning in to Scotty2Hockey's first ever Let's Talk Habs live stream. Stay tuned on Sundays, 9 o'clock p.m. Newfoundland Standard Time, so whatever the time that is to where you're to. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Thank you for your comments and questions. Really appreciate it. Went way longer than I expected, and it was awesome. Scotty2Hockey, as you know, a.k.a. the average hockey fan. Over and out, folks.